The first thing they teach you, if you're lucky enough to get trained for my job, is how to die quietly. Not how to fight, not how to run. Just how to die without screaming, because screaming attracts things in the woods that even the monsters fear. Most bartenders slice limes. I slice moonroot, which grows only where the ground is still warm from something's last breath. Most bartenders mop up spilled beer. I mop up blood that glows faintly when it hits the floorboards. Most bartenders deal with drunks. I deal with cryptids, beings older than our stories, stranger than our nightmares, and far, far more sensitive to poor customer service. And all of this would be manageable if not for the one rule, the rule my predecessor whispered to me with his final breath, lying in a pool of ichor that corroded the hardwood. Never, ever serve a drink to someone who appears human. I didn't understand the rule then. Now I do. Because last night, someone walked into my bar who looked human enough to fool God. And if I had handed them a drink, the entire world would already be gone. What follows is the story of how I became the bartender for cryptids and why that rule exists. The beer that shouldn't exist every cryptid bar has a name mortals can't pronounce. Mine is called the latchkey, which is just the human approximation. The real name is a sound like a key turning inside bone. It sits deep in the forest at the end of a trail that shifts whenever the moon sighs. Hunters walk by it without seeing. Lost hikers pass out beside the front steps, convinced they leaned on a tree, only to vanish at dawn. I didn't find it by accident. I was running. My old life had collapsed behind me. A ruined apartment, a job I hated, a girlfriend who left with an apologetic shrug and half my plates. I'd been walking, just walking, trying to leave behind the taste of failure that sat in my lungs. Night fell fast. I remember hearing something move in the trees. I remember thinking it sounded too tall to be a deer. And I remember, with the clarity of a snapped bone, that the forest felt like it was holding its breath. Then I saw the faint yellow glow ahead. A sign hung crooked on an ancient oak. Cloud, the latchkey cloud. My memory insists the letters rearranged as I read. My fear insists they were dripping. But the door was warm, and warmth felt safe, and I stepped inside. The smell hit me first, earth after rain, blood after prayer, something sweet that made my teeth ache. The room was dim, lit by lanterns filled with water that moved like it was dreaming. Shadows clung to the rafters like cobwebs, and behind the bar stood a man whose skin looked like pale leather, stretched too tightly over a frame that had forgotten what shape humans were supposed to be. "Ah," he rasped, "the new bartender." I tried to explain I wasn't a bartender. He shook his head. "You are now." Training for the end of the world, his name was Marin. Or at least, that's what he told me, though cryptids lie the way humans breathe, effortlessly, constantly, and often to comfort you. He taught me the basics. How to stir dream shade without letting it whisper my secrets aloud. How to pour moonshine, actual moonshine, distilled from moonlit fog, without letting it spill on my skin. It burns like truth. How to polish glasses made from the frosted ribs of something that died laughing. But the job wasn't just bartending. It was survival. Cryptids come here for sanctuary, for stories, for drinks strong enough to numb 1,000-year-old regret. But they are unpredictable, petty, territorial. So Marin drilled the rules into me. Rule 1. Never walk between a cryptid and the exit. Rule 2. Never speak a cryptid's true name. Rule 3. Never serve a drink to someone who appears human. The third rule puzzled me, but humans get lost in these woods all the time. I argued, what if someone wanders in? They won't, Marin said. The path won't allow it, but what if? He slammed a bottle down so hard it cracked. If someone looks human, they are not. And if you treat them like they are, this place dies. And you die with it. Why? He stared at me, and for the first time, I realized his eyes weren't eyes at all. They were the openings of something looking out from behind him. Because the human shape, he whispered, is camouflage for the oldest things, I didn't ask again. The night shift, most cryptid bars don't get lively until after midnight. The dark is a comfort to them. A promise, a cloak. My first night behind the bar, I was shaking so hard I dropped a bottle of star thistle gin. The liquid evaporated before it hit the floor. The first customer was a Mothman, 7 feet tall, wings folded tight, eyes like 2 burning prophecies. He ordered a 6-wing special, which Marin said meant he was heartbroken. Next came a group of pale women with eyes like polished stones. They never blinked. Forest watchers, Marin whispered. They drank worm, would tea, and laughed in a language that sounded like the cracking of twigs. Then a wendigo prowled in, its bones clicking like wind chimes made of hunger. I froze. Marin nudged me. Offer it, Marrow, whiskey. He murmured, if it accepts, you'll live. The wendigo accepted. I lived. Hours passed. My fear sharpened. My senses stretched thin. But slowly, against every expectation, I began to understand these creatures. They weren't mindless horrors. They felt, they loved, they mourned. The Mothman cried into his drink. The watchers toasted the memory of a fallen sister. The wendigo asked me, in a voice like brittle ice, if I'd ever lost someone I couldn't name. And for the first time since my breakup, since my life had fallen apart, I realized I wasn't thinking about the past. I was just being, living, present, terrified, yes, but alive. Marin clapped my shoulder at closing. You'll do, he said, and for some odd reason that felt like validation. The Pretender, it took 6 months before I broke the rule. 6 months of mixing brews whose recipes should never be written down. 6 months of negotiating with creatures who measured debt in years of life. 6 months of learning to identify screams that meant trouble and screams that meant courtship. I'd gotten confident. That was my mistake. It was a rainy night, the kind where the forest feels full of secrets. The lanterns flickered, and the walls breathed something they only do when a predator is near. I should have noticed, but I was loading bottles, humming to myself when the door chimed, and a man walked in. A man average height, shivering from the cold, dark hair, a wet jacket. He looked like a lost hiker. A normal human being. Every instinct screamed at me to hide or run or pray, but my brain, the stupid, hopeful part, just thought, oh thank God. Another human, he walked up to the bar with a grateful smile. Rough night, he said. Mind if I get something warm, anything, really? His voice was wrong. Too steady, too smooth, like someone who had practiced sounding human. I opened my mouth to say no, to send him away, to follow the rule, but he looked cold and tired, and so painfully human that my chest hurt. I reached for a mug. That was when Marin burst out of the back room, eyes wide, mouth open in a snarl. Stop! His voice cracked the lanterns. The man's face shifted, not like melting, like rearranging, as if he were adjusting his reflection in a mirror no one else could see. The room went silent, every cryptid froze, the shadows in the rafters curled downward like frightened animals. The man turned toward Marin, and his smile stretched just a fraction too far. Barkeep, he said, I'm thirsty. No, Marin breathed. You are hungry. The man's skin rippled. Something vast and ancient moved beneath it. What is it? I whispered. Marin didn't look away. A pretender, he said. A creature older than language. It wears the shapes we trust most. Humans, lovers, friends, children. Whatever lures its prey close. And if I serve it a drink, Marin swallowed hard, it will take that as permission to feast. The pretender twitched. Not toward Marin, toward me. The rule's true cost. I backed away slowly, but my knee hit a bar stool, and the sound made the pretender tilt its head. Its eyes flickered like candle flames in a sudden draft. You almost served me, it said, voice soft. You nearly welcomed me. I didn't. I whispered, "But you meant to." It replied, "Your intention counts, your kindness counts, that's why I chose your bar." Chosen. The word sank into my bones like ice. The pretender stepped closer, and the floorboards bent under its weight, as if it weighed more than the building could bear. A mothman at the corner table lowered his wings and whispered, "Don't move, don't breathe, don't think," but my body wouldn't listen. The pretender leaned across the bar, so its eyes were level with mine. "Why did you almost serve me, little barkeep?" My voice cracked. "Because you looked human." The pretender smiled, and in that smile I saw 100 faces flicker. Faces of people I had loved, hated, lost, wanted. Faces of strangers on buses, of childhood friends, of the cashier who once complimented my shoes. It wore humanity like a mask stolen from my memories. "Is that all it takes?" it murmured. "A little resemblance, a little loneliness." Something inside me shattered. Marin lunged then, not to attack, but to step between us. His body changed as he moved, stretching, widening, becoming something jagged and powerful. "Leave," he growled. "The latchkey is under my protection. You are forbidden." Forbidden. The pretender's expression shifted, a flash of annoyance crossing its two perfect features. "You do not forbid me," it said. "No one forbids me. You are not welcome," Marin repeated, and then, "Hell help me." The pretender smiled again. "But I was invited." It pointed at me. "You offered me warmth." "I didn't." "You reached for the mug." It purred. "Human hospitality is a binding thing. You welcomed me." My stomach dropped. Cryptid law is older than our species. My gesture, my tiny movement, had meant everything. "Then take me," Marin said suddenly. I stared at him, horrified. "Marin, no." He didn't look back. "I am older," he told the pretender, stronger, more filling. "Let the boy go." The pretender considered this. Then it laughed. "Oh, Marin, you were my meal 50 years ago. You think I don't remember your taste." Marin stepped back. The pretender surged forward and the lantern shattered. Darkness swallowed the room. Cryptids screamed. Something unbearable filled the air, a scent like burning childhood memories and rotting hope. And then, just as suddenly, everything went still. The pretender was gone. The bar was quiet. I was alive. And Marin was slumped against the counter, breathing shakily. "You saved me," I whispered. He shook his head. "No," he said, "I delayed it." The bill comes due in the days that followed. The forest changed. The trees leaned inward. The shadows came earlier. The animals stopped making noise. The regulars came in shaking, terrified, whispering that something was hunting near the border of the bar's sanctuary. The pretender had tasted my intention, and now it wanted the whole meal. Me. Marin weakened. Cryptids visited less, sensing danger. The latchkey, once alive with murmured stories, grew cold, and every night I lay awake listening for footsteps that sounded like mine. 3 days after the encounter, Marin called me to the back room. He looked older. Not physically, cryptids don't age like we do, but dimmer somehow, like his edges had blurred. "It's my fault," he said. "I shouldn't have left you alone. It's my fault." I countered. "I broke the rule." "Not your fault," he murmured. "Your nature." "What nature?" He gave me a sad, crooked smile. "You care. That's what pretenders hunt. Kindness is the easiest disguise to exploit." My throat tightened. "So what now? How do we stop it?" "You don't," Marin said quietly. "Pretenders don't stop. They don't sleep. They don't forget. They follow a scent of intention until it's fulfilled. So I'm dead." I whispered, "No, you have a choice." He pulled something from beneath the counter, an old cracked key that pulsed faintly. "This is the latchkey," he said, "the real one. It binds the sanctuary and it listens to its keeper." "Keeper? You?" Marin said. "I can't, Marin. I don't know how to run this place, let alone you already do. The regulars trust you. The bar accepts you." I shook my head. "What does this have to do with the pretender?" His expression broke. The latchkey can close its doors forever. My breath caught. Close the bar. Seal it. He whispered. Hide it from all worlds. No one will find it again. Not cryptid, not pretender, not even you. And what happens to the creatures who rely on this place? He closed his eyes. They'll be lost, scattered, vulnerable, but they will live. And you, I whispered. He didn't answer. The last night I had one night to decide. Cryptids trickled in, sensing the end. The Mothman left me a feather that hummed a soft warning. The Watchers pressed a cold stone into my hand. The Wendigo bowed, which was more respect than I deserved. They knew, everyone knew. When the bar emptied, I stood alone, listening to the forest exhale. Then the door creaked open, and the Pretender stepped in. No disguise this time, no illusion. Just a tall, impossible shape that flickered between forms. A child's silhouette, a father's shadow, a stranger's gait, a lover's smile. Every form I had ever trusted, every weakness I had ever had. Little barkeep, it crooned its time. I took out the key. The Pretender tilted its head. Oh, it whispered, you would sacrifice all this, for what? For whom? Yourself, them. I didn't answer. Because my hands were shaking, because my throat was tight, because the bar behind me felt like home, because the creatures who came here were family, but because I knew the truth. I had broken the rule. I had almost doomed them all. An intent has weight. The Pretender stepped closer. Choose, it said softly. I held the key to my chest. I'm sorry. I whispered, to Marin, to the Cryptids, to the bar itself. Then I turned the key. Who I became light swallowed the room. The Pretender shrieked, a sound that cracked the world into fragments. The forest split open. The lanterns burst. The walls dissolved into fog, and then everything folded. When I opened my eyes, I stood in a clearing. No bar, no doorway, no lanterns, just silence. I collapsed to my knees. Had I saved them? Had I doomed them? Had I erased something beautiful? Footsteps approached. I looked up. Marin stood beside me, but his outline was soft, fading, as though he were becoming smoke. You did well, he murmured. Are they safe? I whispered. As safe as they can be. A sanctuary lost is better than a sanctuary devoured. And you, he smiled. I was always part of the bar. I will sleep now. My chest cracked. Marin, his hand cold and heavy, touched my shoulder. Remember the rule. Then he vanished. The rule leaves on it has been months. The world looks normal. People laugh, cars pass. Life continues. But sometimes when the forest wind turns sharp, I swear I hear a familiar doorbell chime. Sometimes I see shapes in the corner of my eye, shapes that bow or blink slowly or watch with ancient patience. The cryptids are still out there, homeless but alive, waiting for the next sanctuary, waiting perhaps for me. And sometimes I see someone across the street, someone who looks perfectly human, someone who smiles a little too softly, someone who tilts their head just slightly wrong, and I remember the rule, never, ever serve a drink to someone who appears human, because the human shape is camouflage for the oldest things, and kindness. My greatest weakness is always the first invitation. I'm still a bartender, just not for humans, never for humans, not anymore.